Surprise, surprise. I'm back. Second time today. Alicia and I did a great live Q&A earlier this morning at 10 a.m. at our regular slot. But I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I haven't done this in a long time. A quick little express entry, kind of top essential thing that I wanted to share with everyone. Now, most of you that are subscribers that are getting notified of this live, when it goes live right now, you're pretty savvy when it comes to express entry, but there's a couple things that I think even you guys might like to learn in this top 6 essentials of express entry. So I'm going to whip through these pretty fast because I've got another consult that's closing in, in about half an hour or so. But this is a very, very fast, high-level take. We're starting to see draws again. We're starting to see that they're actually, I don't know. There's hope, right? At least for some people. And the scores are still remaining high. But what the one lesson that we've learned more than anything else is that you're going to get one shot at this. And you simply, you can't screw it up. It's as simple as that. So let's jump right over here to my list. And this is my Mastering Express Entry, my top 6 essentials. So right off the bat, number 1, you've got to ensure that your eligibility is 100% there. Now, you're not going to get into at all. You're not going to be able to get into the pool at all unless you meet one of these requirements, CEC, FSW, FST. And understand that this part of the process, many people don't even understand how it works because you just type the information in and it magically says you're eligible or you're not eligible for the pool to get into the express entry pool. But many of you don't understand what is actually happening, especially when it comes to the FSW or the CEC categories. Now, the federal skilled trade is really not even on the radar. They're not doing anything with it at all. Everything is pretty much encompassed within CEC or FSW. But understanding what happens within those programs is really critical because that's what's going to get you in. And if you don't fully understand, sometimes people answer the questions improperly and they are admitted into the pool, but they're not really eligible. And when the time comes and you get an ITA, you're locked in and you're excited. And I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with people where I go through and I say, you were not actually eligible for that ITA because you got into the pool by answering questions. And remember, there's no live human officer looking at the answers that you put into your profile. It's all automated. So if you make a mistake, no one's going to catch it until months down the line. And the worst thing in the world is if you got an ITA, okay, at a time in which the scores dropped or there was a big volume of people that were given ITAs and you got the ITA, but you weren't eligible 2 months ago, right? Maybe you're filing your EAPR right now, but at the time in which the ITA was issued, you weren't eligible. But 2 months later, you would have been. And by that time, you're stuck in the EAPR process only to realize that you've struck out, that there's been problems. So there you go. You have to get it right. Okay, that's number 1. And I'm going to whip through these. Number 2, you've got to create your profile properly. So obviously, when you're completing it and you're going through the eligibility, you understand if you choose the wrong knock in your profile and you get an ITA and that knock was associated with, say, a targeted draw or one of the specific categories, and then it turns out you don't actually have the reference letter to support that you did those duties that links you to the knock, you're done. And once again, keep in mind, one shot. And often now, without that one shot and getting it right the first time, you may never get another chance. So when you create your profile, it's absolutely critical that you get everything right, that you're not putting information in there that you can't prove, that you're not basically setting yourself up for failure before the ITA even comes. And man, these ITAs are so precious. Number 3 on my list is optimizing your CRS score. Now, sometimes people say, I've got lots of points. This is my favorite. I've got lots of points. I've done the calculations. I'm all good. I don't need to bother with this work history, this overseas work history. Sure, it might give me a few extra points, but I'm already above the round of invitations and there's not an issue, so I don't need to worry about it. Well, I'll give you a practical example. I've got a great client that I've been working with for many years, And there was a time where the scores, people were getting drawn at about 455, 460. Okay. Boy, it seems like a night, just like a whole, I don't know, eternity away since that happened. But this individual, he was a professional. He had work experience in the US, but it was going to be a little bit of a hassle to get the employer to give him a reference letter. And he was at 464. What's the big deal? No issues, right? All the draws, the previous draws were 450, 455. And so we thought, don't worry about it. It's not a problem. Well, I said, you really should probably get those and maximize your score so that you've got the most you can possibly get. Well, guess what happened? A round of invitations came, and the next one was above. It was 465, I think. And if we'd done those reference letters, he would have got an ITA. And then guess what happened? The scores just kept going up and up and up. When he got the reference letters at 470, then the scores were 471, 472. And if he just optimized at the beginning, there wouldn't have been an issue. This goes the same for you guys who maybe speak a little French. Write the freaking French test. Even if it's 1 or 2 points, that could be all the difference in you getting an ITA. You guys know how competitive it is now. Maybe you haven't maximized your English. Well, then rewrite your test. Keep writing it to try to get the maximum points you can get for your English. And those are just some of the things that, that I can come up with just off the top of my head. There are so many other factors you have to take into consideration. Okay, let's jump to number 4. Get your documents ready now. Okay. Sometimes people don't realize that, oh my goodness, my ECA is expired. I forgot I've been at this game for so many years, and now I've got 3 years of Canadian work experience. I've got my education in Canada. I've got those extra points. I'm really excited, and then I forget that I did my ECA 5 years ago, and now I have to go do it. And oh no, now I'm eligible, or now I got an ITA, and I realize, oh my goodness, now I have to get another ECA. How's this going to affect my ITA? Same thing goes for language test results that are only valid for 2 years. So you have to stay on top of those. Any work history that you've done, completed, and it's not your current employment, get the reference letter now. Any police clearance certificates from countries that you're not planning on going back to, get those police clearance certificates now. So those types of documents are things that you absolutely want to have ready. Okay, absolutely. Number 5 is PNP an option. Some of you are languishing and you're wondering what the heck's happening here. I don't see a world where I'm going to get those scores. Well, if you're not already, you need to examine the PNPs. And I know this is high level. I know this goes without saying. Lots of people are already, doing everything they can to pursue every path. But I know there's some newbies in here, some people that are watching this that have never watched this before. No matter whether you think you qualify for Express Entry or you're going to get that ITA in the very next draw, always pursue any PNPs that you have available to you at the same time. And I don't care if they're non-Express Entry. I could care less. I don't care if the processing times are 2 years. You may never get an ITA depending on what the government does. But if you have an option, any option, do not hesitate to do both. Don't hesitate. I'll get the 2 in here. All right. Okay. And next on the list, Post-ITA is the most critical stage. You have 60 days to get your act together. So this comes back to number 4, get your documents ready now. The reality is the more prepared you are, the less stress you're going to experience. Why is it the most critical? Because this is where things fall apart. Remember, anybody can get an ITA. Well, I shouldn't say that. If you're honest, not everybody can, but if you could put any information you want into the system and get an invitation to apply. But ultimately, if it's a lie, if it's not true, on the back end, you're going to be screwed. So clearly you're not going to do this unless you're just really not thinking straight. When you enter the information into your profile, that's all great, but a human isn't looking at it. It's when you're proving it, that's where the rubber hits the road. So you can't just take this lightly. Your reference letters need to be absolutely 100% correct. Now, I'm going to share one little thing with you. I haven't really set this up. I'm not sure if it'll work properly here, but I'm going to show you my favorite site of all. And I used to talk about this all the time when I was doing this, but I'm just going to slide over here. Let's see if this will work. Did I do it right? Not bad. Not bad. I got to adjust my window just a little bit here. Okay. This place, and I'm going to enlarge this so you guys can see it a little bit better. This site right here, the IRCC completeness check, this one, every single person in the whole history of the world should be going through this every time you submit your EAPR. This site right here is the secret sauce. This is really where you're going to get the details to know what you need to do. So if I go in here and you can search, I jump down to proof of work experience. This is exactly what the document that's required explains exactly what needs to be included in that letter. And you're going to go through, I'd say, well, let's see, every single document you're going to go through this. So I've got a bunch of things going on, clients and staff notifying me of a bunch of things, but you need to pay close attention to this site right here, because it will tell you what you need to do at a high level for all of the documents that you're submitting. And you don't want to be in any world, any position at all, ever, where your documents are not aligned with the instructions on the completeness check website. All right. Now, I know this, I've been going through this fast, these top 6, and sure, there's other things that could be built into this. But one critical thing that you guys always have to understand is that there are no guarantees anymore. And I wish this guy right here would say this more frequently. I wish this guy right here would have said it years ago. Minister Fraser, who was our previous immigration minister, all he told you guys was that there's lots of room for everybody. International students are our favorite immigrants, and that and all the policies and decisions that they made to let thousands and thousands of foreign workers in addition to thousands and thousands and thousands of international students, has resulted in us being in this situation where not everybody is going to get permanent residence. You're not. It's simple as that. And so when you guys will get rid of Minister Fraser, because Minister Miller is now driving the ship, we're going to pull him over here. Minister Miller has repeatedly stated, and I wish he would make it more clear and even put it on the website, at least highlight it. I know it's there. Temporary truly means temporary unless there's a permanent resident stream. And gone are the days where they issue these blanket 18-month work permits. They're just not going to do it because an election is coming. And who they listen to is not international students or workers who are rightfully upset about kind of the situation they're in. They're going to listen to Canadians, those who can vote. And if Canadians feel, that there's so many people here and that immigration is becoming now a problem for their life, which really frustrates me because that's not the case, but some people, that's how they feel. Ultimately, this guy right here, Minister Miller, is going to listen to those who are voting next year, and he's not going to be listening to those who are temporary residents here on temporary status, that with the understanding that when that temporary status expires, they have to go home. Like they're the ones who created this. They created this situation, and I wish they would be much more transparent with all of you. So I just wanted to bring this up. I wanted to share this with you. I know I haven't had a lot of time to really answer questions or anything, but I just want to jump back one more thing to here. And I just want to point out that this right here, my Express Entry Accelerator, is really the ultimate solution. And boy, I just wish that, that I can make it easier to explain and demonstrate and show why this course can absolutely help you to get through safely without making those critical mistakes. Why? Because this is like the 4th or 5th iteration of this Express Entry course. When I log in here, and let's see if I can just log in. Some of you have probably already seen this, but the course itself has over 60 lessons. How many total? I've got a bunch of courses here, not just this one, but Express Entry Masterclass. Let's just jump in. Let's go back to my library. That's why. So if I go back to my library, you can see this 2019, I think, was like the third or 4th version itself. So if we go down here, there's one of my first Express Entry courses. They're always still here, but this one right here was completely redone, everything from scratch. And you can see here, there's actually 69 total lessons that go through every part of learning the basics. And I don't care if you've watched every video I've done, in here is chock full of information, including the CRS case scenarios for Francophones, CRS case scenarios for just to see the kinds of people that are getting invitations to apply. We've got a bonus lesson, I call it 5.2, which is basically the best practices and how to improve your TEF scores. And module 2 is all about determining your eligibility, talking about even the simple things, like if you're brand new to this and you want to know how to register for your GC key, it explains it here. Lesson 7 and 8 are all about eligibility for FSW and CEC. I don't even bother with federal skilled trade because at this stage, we don't see anything coming through with that. Module 3 is all about completing your profile. And this one is chock full of information. Everything you need to make sure you're entering the information in correctly the first time so that life isn't all messed up when you make a mistake and then you get an ITA and realize you have to decline it because you made a mistake. So there's principal information for the principal applicant. And if you have a spouse, there's a section for your spouse, how to complete it. Finalizing and submitting your profile, there's lessons on that. Then module 4 is all about completing the EAPR once you get your ITA. And you have all of these same sections for the principal applicant, the spouse, and even all of the lessons for dependent children if you need them. So it's literally you pick and choose what you want. Module 5 is the document checklist. And all you have to do here is make sure you watch lesson 42, which is, I call it kind of the stupid checklist. If you're not paying attention, some of you will see that the checklist flips back and forth between a comprehensive checklist and a simple checklist, one that doesn't have actual sections attributed to it. And sometimes the letter of explanation section where you have an opportunity in the client information portion, sometimes that even disappears. And if you're at the wrong stage, you may wonder, what the heck, maybe I can't provide any additional information. When you can, but it's just a glitch. Then module 6, this is all about the documents. And there's literally a lesson for every single document that is required to be uploaded. I even had to create more space here because there's everything, like I said, there's 2 full pages. And one of the best parts here is my own unique way of doing letters of explanation. And I explain that all in detail. And finally, as we're wrapping all of this up here, there's another section at the very, very bottom that's constantly growing. I'm constantly adding information to it, and that's the member resource section. So individual lessons that add greater insight on work history, language assessments, eligibility, dependence, job offers. And so this is always growing. So all of this here is available on demand, and you can pick and choose whatever you need. And on the surface, you think, hey, that's great, wonderful. But that is not the best part. I had a conversation with someone that's going to be joining me here on the call tonight because they said, Mark, I saw something in there. I was hoping for an answer to one of my questions, and I didn't see an individual lesson on it. Why? Because some people's situations are just so specific that there just isn't, it doesn't justify creating a whole lesson just for basically 1 or 2 people that will run into this problem. Well, the person brought it up. And they said, look, I want my money back, refund my money, because ultimately I have this one main question and you haven't been able to answer it in your course. And I said to them, I said, look, have you realized that every 2 weeks I do a masterclass? And I'm actually doing it tonight in about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I do a masterclass in addition to the over 10 hours of video where you can come in and you can ask me that question. So today's masterclass is going to start off by diving directly into the specific situation that this person is experiencing, and it relates to unaccompanied dependents, or listing someone as unaccompanied when they're actually here in Canada. So I'm going to talk about it all. And every 2 weeks, you can come back as many times as you want. And the course itself, when you subscribe to it once, whether you're drawn today or whether you're drawn in 4 years, you have access to every single update of the course for life. So either the material is in here, super comprehensive, every section is covered. You can read, you can check every section out. So if I click on here, learn more, there's a breakdown and you can see it in kind of a short format, how the whole course is built and structured. But ultimately, when it comes to the course, I personally think the best part of all of this is the masterclass, which is tonight. So there you have it, guys. And I realize there's no description in this video, but if you click on any other video and you go to 2024 Express Entry Accelerator, you will find it, or go to the Canadian Immigration Institute and you can find the course there. And I look forward to you subscribing and come join me. Join me tonight. All right. Thanks, guys. Last shout out here. Norton says, I'm a fan. He says, thanks for these videos. Something out there that we can trust 100%. You're very, very welcome. We've got this individual, I don't know the name, says, thank you for making the time to share knowledge. Much appreciated. Much love from Trinidad. You are very, very welcome. And then we've got a bunch of other questions. Daniela says, merci beaucoup. Thanks for all you do and all the accurate information you always bring and all the advice you provide. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate all those positive comments. Same thing for Ruben here. Thanks so much for your time and information. And yes, and Spider-Man, I'm most definitely into overtime. All right, we better wrap it up. Got to jump over to my consult. And yeah, thanks so much, guys. We'll see you again soon. I'll probably do another one before you even know it.